Nasty storms coming through. The good thing is, right now, there's nothing damaging. There is an opportunity for an isolated damaging wind gust through about the next 6 hours, 5 hours, until about 7 to 8 o'clock into the afternoon. Just some nasty storms out there right now, though. Gusty winds, heavy rain, lots of lightning. Again, the good news is that there is nothing damaging right now, but we're going to take it neighborhood by neighborhood into your community, and we're going to track these storms and then also talk about the record cold. We've been advertising this cold blast for the last about 10 days, and now we're on the cusp. It's the reason why we have these thunderstorms here. It's out ahead of a very, very strong cold front. So we're going to get into the chill side of things a little bit later. But right now, I just want to give you a heads up and certainly talk about what you may be experiencing if you are out there. Do me a favor, if you are tuning in on YouTube or on News 6 Plus, post in the comments where you're tuning in from. If you're watching on News 6 Plus, a lot of people dial up the YouTube feed and then post their comments in that way so that I can pull them over and we can have this weather conversation. We can go check out on some things. I was like, where is that coming from? It's because I have I have the audio feed on the other thing. Alrighty. So there we go with a wide view. The nastiest stuff right now is moving out of Lake County into Seminole County, parts of Volusia County. Here is where we have the strongest storms right now. And again, there's nothing severe out there. We'll keep tabs on that if any warnings get issued, of course. But right now, everything is relatively speaking on the tame side, although it is coming down pretty heavy around Sanford. We'll take it closer up towards St. John's River Estates into Valdez. The darker purples on the map indicate where it is raining very, very heavily. The lightning strikes indicate where the lightning has been detected over the last few minutes. I'll turn on the lightning tracker here. So just in this box, we have about 40 strikes over the last 10 minutes of our data coming through. So decent lightning event happening as we speak now, especially for early November standards. Remember, it is November. It is super humid. We were talking over the last couple of days that this humidity and warmth would surge Saturday and Sunday before we had the drop, and then this kind of clash of air masses, that's what's kind of firing everything back off. Let's take it back down into parts of Seminole County. Oviedo, everything is relatively light, gets a little heavier on the north side of town, but closer to Jones Landing. This is all east of Winter Springs. This is east of Lake Mary. Getting ready to head into Geneva. Let me turn the loop on for you so you can kind of see the progress of this cell. It's raining lightly, maybe even just spitting out there. You're kind of in between some of the light rain that just came through a few minutes ago. There's a little break, and now the heavy stuff coming. Don't want you to go outside and look at it. We do have lightning strikes around the city. I am sure that you are hearing the thunder, no doubt, and it looks a lot darker if you look to your west. That is where this round of storms is coming from, coming out of Cameron City, out of Jones Landing, and then moving towards us in Geneva. So that's kind of your early heads up that right now it's either super, super light rain or dry at the moment. But right over Canal Street is raining very heavily. This is leaving again Cameron City, Geiger's Landing. We had the very heavy rain, and then that's going to be pushing through Geneva. I'd give it about 15 minutes until that heavy rain arrives for us. Apopka, we had the same junk that was now over Geiger's Landing come through about a little bit ago. That is all pushed quickly off to our east. We have another downpour getting ready to move through, or already moving into Tangerine, just north of Tangerine, I should say, or just north of Zellwood. It's over Tangerine. So very heavy for us there. The good news is there's not any lightning yet with this cell that's over Tangerine. Zellwood, it's about to start raining very, very heavily right in town. On the north side of town, it's already doing so. We'll turn this back on. So Mount Dora, we're getting out of some of the downpours right now. Of course, we don't need any more rain in parts of Mount Dora, Eustis area. It's moving nice and quickly, though. So that's some good news that we're not going to accumulate the ridiculous amounts of rain or anything come close to that we had, 2 weeks ago now. This is moving out of Asatula, and all of this kind of converging on the north side of Lake Apopka towards Zellwood, and then eventually back on the north side of Apopka again. Likely going to miss Wekiva, maybe to the northern side of Wekiva Springs State Park. This is the state park right here. There's Wekiva Springs. That is likely going to track towards the northern half of the state parks. If you're anybody hanging out there enjoying the warmth of today, that's going to be problematic, as we'll likely get some lightning involved with that cell momentarily. Let's take it down to the Orlando metro area. We are dry at the moment. There's no lightning coming out of the attractions or Windermere or the extreme south side of Winter Garden with this. I would imagine that we're going to try to do that and try to develop some lightning with this. But early heads up again in Orlando, in Oak Ridge, Winter Park, as we have this kind of cluster of downpours, if you will, moving from the southwest back up to the north and east. Toward the airport. So if you have any, again, I don't foresee any other issues, at least coming through at the moment. But nonetheless, we are watching the downpours working their way back into central Florida. Let's take it closer to the coast. We've been trying to launch a rocket, and the storms have been problematic for that today. These are all drifting to the north. So let's take a look at Oak Hill into Edgewater. This is where some very heavy rain is getting ready to slide through, or already happening in Edgewater. And it's going to continue that kind of southwest to northeast motion over. I mean, we're going to be stuck in the heavy rain, I think, around New Smyrna, Edgewater for quite some time now. Oak Hill, we're kind of in between some heavier downpours closer to Mims and Scottsmore and Playa Linda Beach. But we have that very heavy rain just off to the west. So the good thing is, and I'm going to just check out some of these cells real quick to make sure we're behaving in terms of any kind of damaging winds or anything like that. The good news is that I don't see anything super concerning. It's a little rowdy out there for sure. But in terms of anything damaging right now, I do not see that from doing just a quick radar tour there. So some good news involved on that front. That box you see there, that's the continued flood warning that's been in effect for the last couple of weeks because of the very, very heavy rain that we've had. Let's see here, just looking at some things. And if you're just joining us on YouTube, feel free post in the comments where you're tuning in from. If you happen to be catching us on News 6 Plus or on the News 6 weather app or on the News 6 app in general, we're in a lot of places today. I know you're busy, football's on and stuff like that. Just wanted to hop on here again and just give you an update. If it's very loud across parts of Central Florida, so in case you were wondering what was going on, especially for us in Deltona, Casadega, Lake Helen, we're starting to get in some, at least maybe hearing the thunder off in the distance. And eventually, this heavy rain is going to be pretty much taking a trip right up I-4. That is going to be approaching us in Casadega, in Lake Helen, as that moves from southwest to northeast. Orange City, we're getting clipped. The lightning is close enough, though, so just be careful if you're trying to walk the dog. I would not do so in Orange City. Let me stop the loop and show you what I'm talking about. You see where that lightning strike came from. The parent thunderstorm is way back here, just to the west of Deltona. So again, that is a decent distance away. That's 3 miles about from the parent thunderstorm that lightning strike just struck. So just be careful out there. We do have a lot of lightning moving through northern Seminole County, out of Lake Mary, out of the Heathrow area, and then sliding up I-4 at this moment anyway. Let's take you back down. We're gonna do we'll head back to Sumter County. All of this stuff is south of Webster, south of Center Hill. So if you're hanging out in Mascot today, we do have some light rain moving in on the west side of town. We have some lightning. Likely, we'll track this for you. Let's put a timer on this. And we're gonna go we'll go right to that lightning strike. We went at about 25, give or take. So the next 15-ish minutes, Mascot and Groveland, we're going to be up here. Now, remember, the lightning is striking further out away, so that's when the core of the heavy rain starts. You're going to get some light rain earlier than that, but in terms of the heavy downpour, you might want to start thinking about bringing things inside. Maybe you're hanging out outside on the porch or something like that, or hanging out in the yard. Just for a short time. It's not going to last all day, but it's going to be there's lightning around, and there's some pretty heavy rain moving out of south central Sumter County into the western side of Lake County. We're going to watch this one here around Winter Garden, Ocoee, Windermere, Dr. Phillips to see if we get any lightning on this. Let me try to highlight this whole giant cluster, and we're going to take this off to the north and east to give you the timeline there. So Fairvilla in about 5 to 10 minutes, downtown Orlando in about 10 minutes, and then we're going to be working with Belle Isle in about 15, Pine Castle, Winter Park in about 17 minutes. So again, we have a lot of stuff. These downpours, a lot of cities going to be impacted, a lot of towns being impacted by this round of kind of nasty weather that is moving through. Again, right now anyway, nothing damaging, so we'll continue to dodge that bullet. Kevin, hope you're doing well this evening. Kim, hope you're doing well also. Thanks for hopping on the live stream tonight. We'll take you back up I-95, where it is quieter, at least into parts of Flagler County. We have a couple of downpours just off the coast of St. Augustine Beach getting a little wet. Palm Coast, Flagler County, Bunnell, we're looking good. We have some lightning returning to Daytona Beach. I'm going to switch my sources here. We're going to take a live look. So bear with me just 1 second. Go there. Let's take a look at, we'll go downtown Orlando. So downtown Orlando is above my head right now, and that's where we're watching that cluster of downpours. This is going to be Daytona Beach. I hope nobody's on that thing. I can't tell. At least it's not in motion right now, but we're looking, I think, south at this point, and we have kind of those jagged clouds where that downpour is going to be very, very close to moving. You see the roads are wet. All that stuff. Amy, what's going on in Metro West? We'll take another closer look at Metro West in just 1 second. South Daytona, Daytona Beach Shores, really heavy stuff. Port Orange, Wilbur by the Sea, just light stuff now, but this is all kind of drifting from the southwest to the northeast. It's kind of riding up a little bit, so you may miss the heaviest stuff. Ponce Inlet, we are dry now. It certainly looks pretty dark. Though if you're just looking back off towards the north from Ponce Inlet up closer to Daytona Beach. So the Metro West area, again, it is coming down pretty good from Pine Hills now into parts of Winter Garden, the south side anyway. Windermere, Dr. Phillips, Oak Ridge, getting in on the heavy stuff. And then that timeline again of the heaviest stuff to arrival coming through. So Amy says it's starting to get wicked in Metro West. And we were talking before that we would likely see lightning get involved with this. And now just over the last couple of minutes, we do have 2 lightning strikes now. So this is kind of the trend, as we did have a couple of downpours come through earlier across parts of Orange County, but this is mainly untapped today. So there's a little bit of extra instability or juice or fuel for these guys to work with. So that's why we're pumping up some lightning, and these downpours are getting heavy. Amy says again, lightning, sudden downpour, some loud thunder as well. So you likely heard that one, that lightning strike right there. That's going to be in between Kirkman and Hiawassee, that yellow bolt that you just heard right there. We have 2 lightning strikes. The other one closer to Pine Hills in Fairvilla off of Colonial. That was the second lightning strike in this nastier cell that is starting to kind of beef up. Let's see. I'm going to check in real quick with the FAA. If anybody has any flights. Yeah, and this is what obviously you didn't want to happen. Let me see if I can pull in my airport graphic. We have there are departure delays now of 120 minutes and increasing due to mitigation initiatives, of course, due to the government shutdown. And then we have the rain in addition to that. So, and it's funny. This is really, really funny because then I just scroll down. It's an all order on the FAA chart. And then there's MSP, that's Minneapolis St. Paul International Airport, delays for de-icing. That's the front that's coming this way. It's going to be wild. But anyway, so 2-hour delay right now, trying to get an MCO. Weather is involved. And then, of course, as we've been reporting for the last several days now, the mitigation objectives for air traffic control due to the government shutdown. So kind of a double whammy here. At least over the next couple of days, the weather is going to improve. If anybody has any flights trying to get out of MCO, but that's what we have going. Okay, so now we're getting more lightning around the Orlando metro area, and you see the live look in Daytona Beach. Above my head there, that is going to continue to get heavier. Kim says she retired her snow shovel 23 years ago. They can have it. I mean, it'll be cold enough to snow here. It's going to get really, really cold. We're going to get into some of that before we're going to be going for a little while here tracking these storms. But there's going to be another live stream tonight if you're interested. Well, we're going to go in depth from the research that I've been doing for the last several days. This is like going to be the coldest. We have not seen the cold this extreme this early since back in 1992 or 1993, excuse me. We've used that year a lot because we just had the coldest Halloween since back in 1993. So far, it seems like we are following that 1993 pattern of the early season cold snap coming through. Kim told me to hush. I think that's because I mentioned it's going to be cold enough to snow. Don't worry, we're not shoveling anything. It's just going to be cold. We're not shoveling anything. Chicago, holy cow, they might big lake effect snowstorm, lake effect snow band going to get going up there. It's going to be nasty if anybody's traveling north over the next couple of days. Anthony says very few lightning strikes around Orlando or Disney World. We're clearing things out in Disney World. So down here are the attractions. So this is Epcot. Right over here, there's Western Way, if you're familiar with all that stuff, Buena Vista Drive, and then Magic Kingdom's up here, and then that's where the cell is. So that cell is far, far away now from Disney property, but we have 3 strikes. So again, nothing too crazy going on in Orlando right now. Let me get you back. Let me switch the source again to the Orlando Skycam. And it's getting a little darker. You can see the rain trying to develop there. It's going to overtake the city in a little bit because we have that heavy thing sliding through. So again, up above my head, we have the radar, or to the right, we have the radar that we're working with. And then above my head, a live look in Orlando. Anthony says cold air blast this week with temperatures not reaching 60 when the average is 79. Yeah, no, it's a crazy cold air mass. We're likely going to break records through a lot of Central Florida. When you wake up on Tuesday morning, we're going to get into some of that in a little bit. It might be under 30, Kim. It might be under 30. And it's certainly with the wind going to feel that way because the wind is going to be strong. So let's take a look at our cell that we were looking through earlier. This is now going to be Orange City still, Lake Helen. We talked about you and Casadega a little bit ago. Now we have the lightning striking within the city. So this is Casadega into Lake Helen. All of this heavy stuff is just a few minutes away. So again, make sure you're inside. There's lightning around. There's nothing damaging that I can see at this point with this cell, and you can kind of watch the city disappear here. Look off to the left. Right there. You can see the heavy rain in sheets coming down behind the city skyline. So in a few minutes, we are going to see the city of Orlando disappear in the very heavy rain that is sliding down the pipeline. But I want to give a shout out to my friends in Lake Helen, Casadega. I love the area. I go to the elementary school every year. One of my favorite stops. Love Lake Helen. Orange City, we have the very heavy rainfall moving in as we speak. Deltona, of course, we've been in the thick of that for a while. Oak Hill, it's getting a little heavy. Let me stop the radar. And I would not be surprised. It has always looked for the last couple of days that the best opportunity for these things to get a little rowdy is as they exit, potentially damaging rowdy, is right along the coast. Just like that. It looks like we've tried to fire the East Coast sea breeze. And you can kind of see that green line right here. So if there's going to be, I think, some strong storms today, stronger than what we're seeing now. It's probably going to be, let me zoom this out because we have a new cell that just joined the party around Kissimmee. Right on in through there, and then right back in here, you see all that lightning. Do I have anybody tuning in tonight from Kissimmee, St. Cloud, around Lake Toho, Poinciana Celebration? Post in the comments where you're tuning in from. Really nasty. Really, really nasty stuff. Getting ready to move into Kissimmee again. Nothing damaging. It's just going to be really heavy rain, tons and tons of lightning. Everybody's in denial of the cold. We're going to get into some of the cold in just a little bit. All right, you see it getting it's we're losing some of the city now. This is going to be a fun sky cam to keep an eye on as that heavy rain is moving into downtown Orlando. On this one little cell alone, this was moving out of Davenport, just north of us in Point Siena. Get you guys to pop up on the map. Um, we have some lightning nearby. Dark clouds likely. Do you see the lightning strike? I'm a big nerd whenever we get lightning strike captured on the sky cam. So you saw some of the just had a flash there in downtown Orlando. We'll get you back up that way. Kim is asking how windy it's going to get. Kim, are you talking about like maybe in these storms or just as this cold front comes through as a whole? Because I have a couple of answers for you. If it's you're talking about in these cells, could have wind gusts in that 40-ish mile per hour category. But as we get into tomorrow, that is where we will have the opportunity to see. That's where we're going to have the opportunity to see wind gusts at 20 to 30 miles an hour as that front comes through. So again, that front certainly means business out there in more ways than one. Anthony saw the lightning strike. Saw the lightning strike caught on camera. And then Kim was asking about the wind. So we're going to take a pause of the radar real quick. And I want to show you the wind forecast. So this is going to be the wind. I have it starting Sunday night. So later on tonight at 11 o'clock, and then just kind of show you the wind arrow or the wind direction arrows. Those are those white arrows on your screen, and you're going to notice those change. So overnight tonight, it gets windy, and you see now the wind that was out of the southwest all day today, kind of pumping in. There comes the heavy rain in Orlando, squirrel. Pumping in the humidity and some of the near record warmth we had this weekend. Front comes through, wind direction changes, and the wind also cranks up. So these are wind gusts now. Monday morning, 10 o'clock in the morning, anywhere from 15 to 25 miles an hour. Might be able to push 30 closer to the coast. And then we'll likely see that pop off a little bit further through the afternoon. Still Monday, 9 o'clock at night, 15 to 20 mile per hour wind gusts. And it is going to stay gusty through 5 o'clock. It's going to be it probably be closer to 30 for you, Kim. That's just the model, and it has issues. So Palm Coast, I think I think I think what was I going to say? I think that we'll see it closer to 30 in Palm Coast at that given time. Good question, Chris. Good question. So he's asking, what is the difference between the white and yellow lightning strikes on the chart? The white strikes are going to be the negative strikes. So that's whenever you have the charge is separated, you have a negative at the ground. The yellow strikes are positive strikes. Those are typically the more intense ones. So as of before, when our friend in Metro West was like, I heard that lightning strike, there was a nice big yellow strike there, the positive strike. So it's a positively charged strike. And then the white ones are negatively charged. So there's two different things going on within the cloud. Typically, you have I have a graphic explaining this. It might take me a second to pull it over, but basically, you have in the cloud. I'm just drawing this here on a notepad. Cloud, ground. Let's see if I can pull it over real quick because my drawing is terrible. So this is what I was talking about, my terrible drawing. So the cloud is up top. There's a positive charge there. Then it meets up with a negative charge at the ground, and then you get the lightning strike that way. The more common lightning strike is a negative strike, where you have negative at the cloud, and then positive at the ground, and you get the charges to connect that way. So there's my terrible, terrible drawing of what the difference between the negative and positive strikes are. But good question, Chris. Very good question. All right, let's go check in on Orlando. Certainly, we're seeing the heavy rain move through. There are the lightning strikes. Let's see. Maitland, we have the heavy rain right now. A crazy contrast, though, between Altamont Springs and Maitland. We do have some of the heavy rain pushing through Fern Park, kind of working its way across Eatonville, Fairview Shores. All of us still dealing with some of the heavy rain right there. Let me take you back over to the coast. Can't forget about our friends in Oak Hill, because this is where I think, excuse me, I already need to get some tea or something. Okay, so this is where we're going to watch close over the next couple of hours. Well, probably 30 to 45 minutes between Mims and Titusville. With this cell here in particular, that one might get a little rowdy. So I'm watching for you guys in Scottsmore, in Oak Hill. It's probably going to stay just to the north of us in Mims, although we do have more development right back in here. And the reason for that, we try to generate the East Coast sea breeze, and I never like when the East Coast sea breeze stays pinned. We're losing the city, by the way, because it helps to just like give another boundary for things to kind of spin on. Today is not a tornado day. Today is not a really high-end severe weather day by any means. But it's why we're in that marginal risk that there's a very low chance. Look at that. Look at the heavy rain coming through. Let me get the radar back to downtown Orlando so we can kind of watch the sky cam in real time. That is the cell that is currently over downtown Orlando. And we just talked about, what, 5-10 minutes ago, that we were going to watch the city disappear. And there it is, going away with that very, very heavy rainfall, moving across parts of Central Florida. So, and if you're just joining us either on News 6 Plus, or if you are watching us on the News 6 Weather app or the News 6 News app or on the News 6 YouTube page, a lot of ways to catch us today. Want to make sure you guys can get this no matter where you are, if you're out doing errands or watching football or something, just to make sure everybody is aware that we do have the storms out there. Obviously, if you're being impacted, you don't need me to tell you that there's a storm there, but I'm trying to give you the early heads up. And the other thing is to make sure, if you hadn't been paying attention to the weather forecast over the last 10 days, it was about 10 days ago, is early last week, that we started talking about we had the potential for a really unseasonably cold air mass to blast through It's going to be rushing in during the day tomorrow, and then it's going to make its presence known big time by the time you wake up on Tuesday morning. So here are some of the storms since there's nothing severe right now. And again, I'm keeping watch on this guy here, moving into Wilbur by the Sea. So early heads up for you. That rain is going to get heavier. Port Orange, we're already in the heavy stuff. Daytona Beach, we're about 5 to 10 minutes away from getting that off the south side of town, off of our coast. Take you further down real quick. Just do a radar check. We've got a few downpours around Rockledge tonight or this afternoon. So there is that. I want to give you guys a quick recap, not really a recap, but just kind of go over some things in terms of what's coming. Where's the cold front? Can you find it? Holy cow. This one means business. It's in the 60s right now in Atlanta. The front just arrived in Atlanta. Look it back toward Nashville. It's at 45. So if you got in a car and drove from Atlanta to Nashville, it's going to drop more than 20 degrees over that, not that far of a drive distance-wise, or as the crow flies, as they say. That is the colder air. That's where the front is currently. And again, it arrives, it blasts through overnight. And then as we move into the day tomorrow, we're going to watch those temperatures fall. We do have a freeze watch in play. Now, freeze watch is mainly for, well, it is for your plants and your pipes. That's what this kind of advisory from the National Weather Service says. I do not anticipate widespread stuff with pipes. For that kind of stuff, you really need to stay below 28 degrees pretty much all night. We are not going to get there, I don't think, in Marion County. We're going to likely, the current forecast is 30 degrees in Marion County, and we're likely going to get there for the last couple of hours before the sun comes up on Tuesday morning. So I'm not worried about the pipes. What I would be worried about, though, are plants. I'm not expecting widespread frost either. It's going to be cold enough for frost, but the wind keeps things mixed, and frost needs it to be gentle to settle in. I don't know if I think somebody white balanced that. Otherwise, that would be like Thor level lightning strike. I think somebody hit the white balance button on that because that thing just got real bright. We better check in with the city to make. I think that was somebody hit the white balance thing to kind of check up on the camera. Otherwise, unless somebody saw the strike, and if you did, post in the chat if you saw a lightning strike with that big flash. I was looking at the freeze watch graphic. So there it is. That's the freeze watch. The likelihood, or at least the potential, for 32-degree temperatures or colder in central and western Marion County. This is our forecast for Tuesday morning. These are the actual air temperatures. So Palm Coast getting down to 33 degrees. Pearson, the freezing mark. Denellen, again, we could sneak beyond the other stuff. Ocala, we're at 30. 34 degrees in Leesburg, 38 degrees in Orlando. Anthony, I don't think Orlando gets put into the freeze watch. I don't think Orlando observes anything 32 or colder. So I don't think we're going to be colder than 32 in Orlando. I think it could be expanded a little bit to maybe eastern Marion County, maybe parts of Sumter Lake, interior Volusia, interior Flagler, but I don't see the freezing temperatures getting to Orlando. So I don't think we're ever going to be in a freeze watch or a freeze warning in the Orlando area. It's going to be cold, but I don't think it's going to be enough to warrant the freeze watch or warning coming into play. Regardless, that 38 degrees, that would be a new record in Orlando. The 30 in Ocala, that would be a new record in Ocala. We're going to be close in Daytona Beach. We're going to be close in Melbourne. And we are going to be, that should break a record in Sanford as well. 36 degrees should break a record in Sanford. So this is record cold. So like when you see headlines, and we have some as well, they're going to be accurate, but just whenever this is a rare cold blast for this time of the year. It's been a long time since we had air temperatures this cold in this part of the country this early in the season. Like I think last year, this might rival. I'm going to check that right now. I think this rivals the coldest air of all last year, even in the dead of winter. We're going to check that in real time. if I can walk and chew gum at the same time. But while I'm doing that, I do want to get back to, oh, I'll show you this first. This is the tumble that we take. So as of 6 o'clock Sunday evening in Orlando, it's 77 degrees. Okay. Look at Tuesday morning, 6 a.m. 28 degrees is going to be the wind chill because we have air temperatures in the mid to upper 30s in Orlando. And then we have a wind at about 15 to 20 miles per hour. So it is going to be wild out there. Okay, so let me see. $38 minimum temperature. I have to talk to myself when I enter stuff into the computer. Oh man. So if Orlando bottoms out at 37, it would be colder than it'd be the coldest morning since January of 2023. So I mean, you're talking about an air mass now that beat the cold of all last winter. Like when we're supposed to be, we get our couple days of winter. So if that holds, if the forecast right now for Orlando is 38. If it gets to 37, it becomes the coldest day, the coldest morning since way back of January 15th of 2023. That is super impressive. And I mean, I can't say enough to talk about how rare this is to be seeing these kind of temperatures. We certainly see them probably once or twice a year when these big blasts of cold come through. But to see it in early November, Veterans Day and before, it's pretty rare. That hasn't happened since 1993. So it's been 30 some years, 32 years. Crazy. So, I mean, again, there's a lot going on. Okay, the good news is the cells that we were just kind of watching for the potential to get a little bit more concerned about, the purple's gone away. So I like whenever these things kind of pulse down a little bit, whenever they're kind of running into a better environment. So that means that maybe, just maybe, the environment's not going to be able to help these guys get pumped up a little bit. So that's some good news for us in and around Scottsmore. Still very heavy rain, still a ton of lightning around, but nonetheless, nothing damaging still. And we're kind of losing this cluster. It's nothing damaging here, just a lot of very heavy rain and a lot of lightning now in and around Kissimmee, pushing through. And then it says 28-degree wind chill Tuesday morning. Don't forget your gloves, people, if you go outside. Yeah, now is a good time if you're getting stuff ready for the work week to maybe dig through the closet to find some of the heavier stuff that's been put away for a long time. It's going to be a shock to the system. It is. I mean, it's been a while. Kim, you don't own any gloves, and the last that you came with, it was minus 45 the last winter before. I mean, I guess you're kind of prepared for it. The blood is thick. If you experience 45 degrees below zero wind or temperatures. Let's check up on this cell around Oak Hill. A lot of lightning for us. Let me bring up the lightning counter again. 105 strikes just in the box there where the radar is. So a lot of stuff. Let me see. I doubt our port cam is going to be showing that far away. Let me change the source to the port. Yeah, we're looking inland anyway on that one. Wet parking lot. That's probably because of that. That's why. That's Port Canaveral right in through here. So they're getting a little shower. Nothing too crazy. All right, so we're going to zoom back out of Port Canaveral tonight. We are going to, let me check out, before we do another radar tour, I'm going to turn on the Daytona Beach Cam. Oh, yeah. So that was the cell we watched together about 20 minutes ago. We had the camera up and it was slicing just to the south side. So we're looking south now down the beach, and we're kind of looking towards that cell that is over Daytona Beach shores in Port Orange right now. So some real dark clouds, and you can see the rain if you look closely right along the shoreline, how it gets a little fuzzy. Those are those sheets of rain that's coming down. So really cool stuff there as this downpour slides through, and there's the latest radar scan. So we are getting the heaviest and the worst of that storm off of our shores quickly, and we have the live look there to kind of go in real time with what the radar is showing us. Good news all around here too. Cassadaga, Lake Helen, it's still raining decently heavy. The lightning though has come way down. Remember, we checked this before, about 15 minutes ago? We had about 55, I think it was this 55 lightning strikes within the last 10 minutes. Now we have 3. So good news here. And I think one of the reasons for that is we had the clouds early on, and some of us saw some downpours early in the morning ahead of this junk that we're seeing now. And that helps to zap some of the energy out of the atmosphere. So that's all good stuff that we are watching. Orange City, we still have the downpour, but the lightning is coming down. Same for us here, Altamont Springs. We'll check in on you guys. No lightning, but we are now getting some very, very heavy rain. Let me put the loop on this over the last hour. We were watching this before, and we talked about this was coming up in your direction. So there we go in Altamont Springs, Fern Park. We had the very heavy rain. This is going to be moving into Winter Springs. It's already started to rain in Winter Springs, but the stuff that's over Castleberry now, shout out to anybody watching in from Castleberry or Altamont in Seminole County. We are watching that cell. Thankfully, no lightning there, but that very heavy rain is just minutes away from you in Winter Springs. We'll get you a little closer in here. So this is Altamont Drive, getting closer to Crane's Roost. Altamont Mall, really heavy rain. There's the Central Parkway from more of a perspective coming through. So some really heavy stuff moving through Altamont Springs. Again, the good news is everything that I'm seeing here, it's not threatening in terms of any kind of flooding, any kind of strong wind, any kind of rotation, any kind of hail, none of that stuff. So we are looking good. No hail popping up, just rain. Love it, love it, love it. So that's going to be great. Just a few more minutes of these downpours through downtown Altamont. So kind of time that out like that. So the edge there in Altamont, so you're about 10 to 15 minutes away from being done with the really heavy stuff right in the core of Altamont Springs. Longwood, you're about 25 minutes away from being done. Castleberry, about 20 to 30 minutes from being done. We'll put this loop on for you. They're moving at a pretty good clip tonight. It's because of that strong southwesterly breeze just kind of pushing everything along this evening. If anybody has any questions about the chill, about the storms, or just want to say, hey, just want to post in the comments where you're tuning in from. Again, if you're watching on the News 6 weather app, if you're watching on the News 6 app itself, if you're watching on clickorlando.com, or if you're watching on News 6 Plus, shout out to you guys. Thanks so much for taking the time out of your day. I know there's a lot going on, getting ready for the week. Football's on. but we wanted to be here for you so that we can give you the information if you're wondering what the heck's going on with these storms and the chill that is coming in behind it. So thank you for taking a part of your day to come hang out with me tonight as we are tracking these storms through the rest of the afternoon. Couple more hours left, and then we're completely done with any kind of threatening stuff. And then maybe a few more stray downpours in the evening or overnight, and then the cold rushes in. Then it's the cold's turn to take over. Kind of a two-part weather story over the next 24 hours. The storms today, and then the cold and the wind take over. All that stuff. So there's a lot going on. And then if you don't like the chill, like by Thursday, Friday into next weekend, I think the best weather in the country then is here. We're talking lows in the 50s, highs in the mid 70s, and that's the end of next week. Have to get through a little bit of a chill first. Of course, Amy, thank you for hanging out. You as well, Kim. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for the conversation and for the storm reports and all that stuff. That stuff, by the way, is critically helpful to us when we are in our nice little cool room streaming. It is very helpful to us to get some ground truth when you can do so safely. So it's another reason why we love streaming and stuff. Yeah, I think by Thursday, Kim puts the worst in quotation marks. I'll pull her comment over once it loads on my system. The worst is over. Yeah. Monday is going to be chilly. We're going to be watching those temperatures drop through the day. Well, we might bump up into the low 60s, low to mid 60s by like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock in the morning. And then we start to drop, going forward. And then we wake up to the coldest morning, record cold on Tuesday morning. And then on Wednesday, it's going to be very cold again, but a couple of notches warmer, the wind not as much. So I'd be more concerned likely with frost on Wednesday. And then Thursday, we start to pull out of it. So I think 40s and 50s for lows, and then 70s for highs, and then 50s for lows on Friday, and then 70s for highs. So really from about Monday evening through about Thursday morning, that's the worst of it. And then we start to pull things back out to more seasonable numbers, and that's going to be mid to upper 70s for highs going through there. Let's take a look. Look back here. So a couple of things I want to note. Let me see. I don't have the Tallahassee radar. So here's where the front actually is. So the front is kind of working through Southwest Virginia. I'm going to draw it here. My terrible drawing, as you guys know before. So that is where the cold front is. It's pushing into Atlanta as we speak. Out ahead of it, we have these winds out of the southwest, and that's what's kind of forcing up these thunderstorms that we're seeing south and east of the front. We call that prefrontal thunderstorms. So as the front comes through overnight, it might help to force up more thunderstorms of its own. So there could be a couple of rumbles of thunder 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. I'll show you that. I had the future radar loaded up for you guys to kind of give you a timeline here. So I think it's doing a pretty nice job. It's pretty much spot on. We're sitting here at 4:20, 4:18. There's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So a pretty good job by the high resolution radar. There's 7 o'clock, kind of the last gasp. I think it might even be earlier than that. And then you kind of see this. So don't be surprised if you're just in a deep sleep and you hear just like a random clap of thunder or a downpour. That's the front coming through, or at least that's kind of the last little force up of energy. And then you still see the clouds, and then that's when the front clears. The front kind of brings in the dry air, getting too excited. It brings in all the dry air, and then we force up, and that's when the cold settles in. So you see it right there, and that's when coincides with the temperature dropping. So tomorrow going to be a remarkable day. Tuesday going to be a ridiculous morning. And again, I'm all about the historical perspective of this, just to kind of show we've not seen air this cold in Central Florida since way back in 1993. I keep on saying 1992. But it's 1993. Penguins won the Stanley Cup in 1992. I think that's why I gravitate towards that. I'm a Penguin fan, by the way. That's not important right now. But the record for the day is going to be 1932. So it's going to be kind of confusing when you throw out all these numbers and stuff. It's going to be cold. That's just, you just have to know that. But we haven't seen cold this early since 1993, and we have not seen cold on that day specifically on Veterans Day since 1932. Crazy, just wild stuff. Um, anyway, alrighty, guys, we're probably gonna roll on this stream for another 10 minutes. I'll probably end this at 4:30, and I'm gonna work on some stuff for the news coming up at 6:30. So if you're tuning in on this, by the way, if we'll of course have this online, the news. If you're in the Central Florida area, or even if you're not in the Central Florida area, if you've never heard of News 6 Plus before, you should download it. It's really, really cool, especially in hurricane season, because we have a lot of different streams on there that you can stay up to date if you're into that stuff and want some information. But we're going to have the latest coming up in our newscast runs at 6:30. That's going to be after football. So News 6 at 6:30, we're going to have the latest on the cold, the latest on where these storms are at right now. That'll be coming up at News 6 at 6:30. And then, of course, News 6 at 11, we're going to see what the latest modeling does if it drops the temperatures even further, because now that we have this core of the cold air mass well within the weather balloon network, all of that, all the weather balloons that go up, we get better readings and better data, and we have the surface observations now to kind of see, okay, it was supposed to be this temperature. Is it actually this temperature? And then we're going to adjust the forecast. So it might even be colder. And again, the critical number we're looking at here is 37. And if you are a weather nerd like me, I will be up on Tuesday morning watching to see if our hourly observation hits 37, because if it does, that officially becomes the coldest morning of all of this year so far and all of last year. And to me, that's one of the most impressive things, that an air mass blasting down into Florida in November is going to be colder than our coldest air mass of last year, which includes December and January. So some pretty wild stuff there. And again, that last little push coming through. Going to do a quick little radar tour before we sign off so that I have a voice to talk with you guys at 6:30. And then later on tonight, we're probably going to have another stream on the cold this evening coming up, I think at 7:30. So you're going to see something scheduled. So if you want to, or at 7 o'clock, the newscast at 6:30, I'm probably going to hop right over from the news and continue that on. So look for that around 7 o'clock. I'm just making notes here, so remember what we're talking about. So we'll do that, and just going to give you guys another heads up. So if you missed the newscast at 6:30, I'll be back here at 7, and that's going to be on News 6 Plus, on the News 6 weather app, and on News 6, clickorlando.com. Wherever you are, we are. I know you guys are busy and all that stuff. I keep on rambling about that. Okay, one final radar tour here in the last few minutes. Let's go back into the Central Florida area. Still a lot of lightning in this box over the last 10 minutes or so. We have about 100 lightning strikes. So that number is coming down. We love that, because I mean, it's again, it's a sign that even though there are some ingredients there, I always talk about severe weather coming together like you're making a cake. You need the milk, you need the eggs, the sugar, flour, whatever the ingredients go in a cake. I'm not a baker, but if you're missing something, yeah, you're still going to get a cake, but it's not going to taste that great. Okay. And that's what we have out here today. And that's what we were expecting, the opportunity for maybe a storm or two to get a little rowdy within a few thunderstorms that are bubbling up. And so far, so good. The sugar, what should we call the instability? Maybe the milk. The milk wasn't added to the cake. So that's going to be a nasty tasting cake. Does milk get added to a cake? Is that condensed milk? I don't know. I'm not the best when it comes to bacon. Okay. So anyway, the more important stuff. Oak Hill, we're settling down a little bit. It's been loud. It's been very, very heavy. Scottsmore, Mims, we have that storm just north of us in Mims. It's kind of leaving. It's kind of leaving Scottsmore as we speak. We do have another downpour getting ready to push back into Oak Hill. So we're not that done yet. We're not completely done. I would still be careful if you've been waiting on taking the dog out or something in Oak Hill. Watch it. We still have lightning to the east and lightning to the west. I would not recommend going to take the dog out right now if you're in Oak Hill. Um, just because with this cluster getting ready to move through, we could have lightning starting to strike all out in here. Plus, we still have a highly electrified cell here that could send lightning strikes back all in through here. So while it may be dry, I wouldn't do it. Okay. Um, we talk about this especially as we get into sea breeze season. Now it'll be next year again. You have to respect the lightning anytime, but especially in the state of Florida. It is crazier than anywhere else. We don't have the sea breeze involved here to help pump things up even further, but you need to respect the thunder. When you can hear it, you're too close and you got to stay inside as much as you might want to get out there and get something done. And then case in point here, because we have the parent downpour, it's just raining lightly, but then we have these strikes closer to the airport, which that could be problematic if you're waiting for. Where is the airport? The airport is right here. So yeah, I would have to imagine that there's going to be a bigger delay now at. Because you don't want to put anybody working cargo and the people bringing in the planes, there's lightning striking at the airport. So if you're waiting on somebody, if you have any waiting at MCO for somebody to get off the plane, and they might be telling you that they're going to be a little bit because they're not going to unload the plane. They're not going to get the passengers off the plane with lightning because they can't bring the plane in when there's lightning going on, or at least up all the way to the gate. That happens many times in the summer. And that's why I always recommend if you're flying out of Florida or into Florida, try your best to get that morning flight because those storms are no joke and that can really mess up a plan for sure. Let's just take one last look here. Oh, it looks like if you were hoping on seeing the Blue Origin New Glenn launch attempt, that's just into our newsroom that was scrubbed. I mean, come on. I mean, this is the reason why the launch pads are right in here. So that's Kennedy Space Center. The Space Force base is down here. Let me see. I want to see where. Yeah, you can't have lightning within 11 miles. And not only do we have that, we likely have the anvils. They're probably being blown in that direction, but still, we have lightning within 11 miles of the launch pad. So saw that one coming from a mile away, that it was just going to get worse and not better at the spaceport for the new Glenn. So I'm sure they'll try again, obviously try again, but not today. What's going on, Corey, in St. Petersburg? Hope you're doing well. We'll take a look at St. Pete. Let me get to the Tampa radar real quick for you. And we do have some heavier stuff coming in. This should be moving from west to east, maybe with a jog to the north. So this should stay north of St. Petersburg right now. And then the other stuff is closer to Sarasota, south of Bradenton. So you're kind of splitting the part in the Red Sea there in St. Pete. And then we're looking good. We are looking good right there. All righty, guys. I'm going to go try and save my voice. I'm going to work on some more of the historical graphics that we looked up together here in terms of this is the coldest since 1932 for the day for the record in Orlando. And as far as this cold air mass goes, this is going to be the earliest it's been this cold since 1993. If we hit right now, our forecast in Orlando is 38, which is insane. It's insane. The model guidance, by the way, is even colder than that. It's like 35. Sometimes the models are a little too aggressive, but we'll see what happens here. If we hit 37, it's going to be the coldest day of this year and all of last year, which to me is just mind blowing. And I think it goes again to show the nature of this air mass on how anomalous it is. And again, it's going to be a record breaking air mass for this time of the year. Alrighty, guys. Thank you so much for spending part of your day with me. How about Jacksonville? Okay, Travel's just got in here. Let's check Jacksonville. We're good right now, but there's a nasty little line of thunderstorms moving through. Let me see. I think I have the Tallahassee radar loaded up in here. So yeah, you have some nasty stuff coming in from the west as that line of storms pushes through to your east. So you're good at the moment. As far as your temperatures go, you're dropping into the low to mid 30s on Tuesday. And that front comes through tonight. It's going to be windy and it's going to be chilly tomorrow as those temperatures drop throughout the day. But some nasty storms just to your north and west. And you can kind of see that line going here. This, by the way, this would be our last push overnight for Florida, for Central Florida. All of that stuff out here, that's going to develop and then kind of work its way in. So we'll be watching that as well. Should not be strong. Just might catch you off guard in the middle of the night. You can see another downpour going on the north side of Daytona Beach, by the way. Let me get back to the Melbourne radar. Did I say north side? I meant south side. So there it is. So South Daytona, Port Orange. We just got run of one storm. Now we have another one. You can see in the background there above my head. That's a live look at Daytona Beach. That gigantic downpour. How we just had this like a massive cloud of some super heavy rain pushing through. So that is going to be what we see here, and most of that is in South Daytona. Port Orange is taking it on the chin tonight. Nothing damaging, just some very heavy rain, lots of lightning within that cell. I'm keeping a close eye on this radar, guys. If we pop a warning, if something looks a little rowdy to me, then we're going to hop back on here on News 6 Plus, on the News 6 weather app, on the News 6 app, and on clickorlando.com, and of course on the News 6 YouTube page. If you don't have any of that, if you don't have News 6 Plus, it's a free download on your smart TV. There's a lot of cool weather features, even if you're not in the Central Florida area. I'd love for you to go download that. If you are in the Central Florida area, there's a lot of great content on there, weather and news and other on there. So go check that out. And then especially if you don't have the News 6 weather app, that is a free download. Great interactive radar tools on there. This live stream, by the way, is playing right at the top. So if we do quote unquote break in to the looping radar that replaces this for a little bit of time, we will have that for you, and you'll see us chatting it away again and tracking those storms. So great tools to have. By the way, you'll get push alerts. All that's free if there's lightning within 10 miles. And again, especially for spring and summer, that's critically important. If you're out cutting the grass or something and you get a little buzz and you get lightning within your area, hightail it back inside. Thank you, guys. I said goodbye like 10 minutes ago. I always do this. Thank you so much for spending part of your Sunday with me, hanging out as we track these storms together. Hope everybody's doing well. Take the time to find the heavy jacket, heavy coat. It is going to be crazy cold on Tuesday morning. Thank you so much, guys. Be safe. I'll see you soon.